All right, rolling into topic 2.4 with the transatlantic trade, really looking at the economic characteristics that are happening more or less between the new and old world, between Europe, Spain, France, particularly England. It's kind of what we're focusing on here, between England and their colonies. So, what we've got to figure out in the way that you need to approach this is that we're dealing with causation here. So, causes and effects. So, as you think about this stuff and you study, you need to kind of keep it in the back of your mind. Is this a cause? Is it an effect? How does it cause things? And how do the effects impact whatever place that you're talking about? So, dealing with it's dealing with triangular trade. That's really the key term that goes into it. But as it states, an Atlantic economy, which you can reference as triangular trade, develops in which goods as well as enslaved Africans and American Indians were exchanged between the places that we're talking about. Well, if you're thinking about the causes of it, we've pretty much talked about the causes of it up to this point. It's mercantilism. It's the products, the raw materials, the things that are coming from these colonies that are going to be driving this. Because remember, under mercantilism, you're trying to export more than you import. And if you can find a way to get your imports very cheap or free, as far as the labor source goes, then that's what you're going to do. So all of those things that we've dealt with economically up to this point kind of culminate with triangular trade. So that's how you need to focus on this. As we move into B, we're looking at, let's see, continuing trade with Europeans, increase the flow of goods. We can go with effects on this. The effect on American Indian communities. I don't have anything in the box here, but you can read it and kind of get an idea of what happens. There's going to be some cultural and economic changes, and those have already been referenced, I believe, as we've went through a couple more topics. And then the same thing with the epidemic diseases that you see right there. With the demographic shifts, we're talking about smallpox. We're talking about other things that were kind of covered during the Columbian Exchange that are starting to really become widespread during this time. So one effect of this transatlantic trade is going to be what happens with Native Americans. Also, you're going to be looking at the British government attempting to more or less control their colonies, which is difficult to do because, as we're going to see when we get closer to the Revolution, they let things slide from time to time. But there were early attempts to control the colonies before the actual road to the Revolution. Now, one of the ways in which they attempted to do this is the designated certain colonies as royal colonies. You probably need to look up what a couple of those are to have specific examples for it. They also, at times, to varying degrees, enforced what are called the Navigation Acts. You need to know what that is, and then how, more importantly, or as importantly, how it shows that the British government is attempting to control their colonies into an imperial structure. And then lastly, the Dominion of New England. Same thing. Get the definition if you don't have it in the box, and then be able to explain how it shows Britain trying to incorporate these colonies into, once again, their imperial structure. Now, also keep in mind these three things under C are ways to kind of help their mercantilist goals with what they're trying to do. So you need to kind of tie it into an economic thing as well. And that doesn't require a lot of information on your part. It's more the explanation aspect of it. If you can figure out what it is, you should be able to draw a connection. And that's always the key word, back to the main point. So that was short, sweet, to the point, but that's 2.4.